Well, we've been journeying together. I hope it's been a fruitful journey, enlightening journey, challenging journey in the life of Christ. We're just getting really to the starting place where Jesus is just going wide open now. He's been in Jerusalem for a feast, now back to his kind of his home base for mission and ministry, which is the northern seashore of the Sea of Galilee. Last week we saw that he made his way back, and then he had another confrontation with the religious elite, with the scribes and Pharisees. They just cannot handle doing good on the Sabbath and healing people as a touch of grace. And he's challenged now. He's kind of gone public with, all right, John chapter 5. And it's really stirred up a hornet's nest. What we saw last week is after Jesus heals this man on the Sabbath with a withered hand, it infuriates the Pharisees to the degree that they're conspiring with the enemy to get him, to destroy him. And in Luke's gospel, it says that they were filled with fury. And hopefully in community this week you saw some of that and tried to talk about that. This week we're going to continue what Jesus does next by going to Luke's Gospel, chapter 6. So we were in Matthew chapter 12. And you see in verses 6 and following that last encounter in Luke 6 of the Jesus and the man with the withered hand. And in verse 11, but they were filled with fury and discussed with one another what they might do to Jesus. So that's where we leave off. What Jesus does next thing, starting in verse 12, Luke 6. Luke 6, verse 12. These are going to be the Beatitudes of Luke, okay, that we're going to concentrate on today. The Beatitudes of Luke. There are also Beatitudes in Matthew's Gospel. Probably more familiar in Matthew's Gospel than in Luke's Gospel. So I'll give you the homework assignment to read the Beatitudes in Matthew's Gospel. Once again, one thing that's added in Matthew's Gospel that we won't be looking at in Luke's Gospel is speaking to the meek, speaking about mercy, talking about purity, and what it looks like to experience peace. So you just look in Matthew's Gospel, chapter 5, for those parallel statements of Christ. But today we're going to look at Luke's account of how Jesus talks to us about attitudes we must possess. They are really attitudes that will influence our intentions and our actions. You know, it all starts there, right?
Yes.
It's not behavior modification. Jesus wants to change our heart. Okay? We can just do right. All right? We can do the right thing and not be right people. So Jesus is all about attacking our heart, our attitude towards things. And we all at times need an attitude adjustment, don't we?
Yes, we do.
How often for you?
I don't say
Every morning? Huh? It's medicine. And so, attitudes that must be if we're going to be followers of Christ. Verse 12. In these days, Jesus went out to the mountain to pray, and all night he continued in prayer to God. And when day came, he called his disciples and chose from them 12, whom he named apostles. So he had many disciples, and then from those disciples he gets 12 and names them apostles. We'll be back to this passage later, but I just want to read you those names. Simon, whom he named Peter, and Andrew, his brother, James and John, and Philip and Bartholomew, and Matthew and Thomas, and James, the son of Alphaeus, and Simon, who is called the Zealot, and Judas, the son of James, and Judas Iscariot, who became a traitor. He gets these 12, and he gathers many other disciples, and he calls them close, and they get a front row seat. And he came down with them, verse 17, and stood on a level place with a great crowd of his disciples and a great multitude of people from all Judea and Jerusalem and the seacoast of Tyre and Sidon, who came to hear him and to be healed of their diseases, and those who were troubled with unclean spirits were cured. And all the crowd sought to touch him, for power came out from him, and he healed them all. Then he lifted up his eyes on his disciples and said, Now, what we're going to do today is look at how Luke records these affirmations and denials, or these contrasts between these statements that Jesus puts together. Matthew doesn't write like that. Luke does. And so we're not going to read verse by verse by verse by verse. We're going to look at how Luke makes a statement and then the corresponding contrasting statement, because he pairs them up in a literary form to capture our attention. Okay? And these are the blessed are yous and the woes to you. All right? Now, watch how this happens as Luke writes. Verse 20. Blessed are you who are poor, for yours is the kingdom of God, or the kingdom of heaven. Same thing, interchangeable. Now, he pairs that with verse 24, but woe to you who are rich, for you have received your consolation. You see those contrasting things? Blessed are you who are poor, and then verse 24, but woe to you who are rich. You see the contrast that Luke is bringing to the table. Okay? Well, the first thing we got to do is we got to define what the Bible means by blessed and woeful. One, blessed means a state of happiness, contentment, fulfillment, satisfaction, or completion. All right, that's what it means to be blessed. That everything's okay in my world. It's all right. I'm satisfied. I'm complete. I'm fulfilled. I'm happy. Woe, on the other hand, is a word that expresses dread or horror or discontent. Blessed are you, but woe to you. That's a pretty bold statement that Jesus is making. I want you to recognize that you are blessed if you are in this condition. But woe to you. Woe's coming to you, and woe is on you if you are in this condition. Because what are those? Let's look at these first two contrasts. What did he say? Blessed are you who are poor, for yours is the kingdom of God. Poor. Now, you know in Matthew's gospel, he has, blessed are the poor in spirit, right? What does it mean to be poor? I think Jesus is getting at more than just financial depravity. He's talking about spiritual depravity. He's talking about you, if you recognize that you are lacking to the degree that you come to the place where you understand all of my strength and my wisdom and my merit leaves me needy for more. I have tried my dead level best, you might say, and I still come up short. That's what it means to be poor in spirit. To recognize that if anything is going to happen to bring me lasting joy, it has to come from outside of me. It will never happen if I'm generating it on my own. It's only temporary, fleeting happiness. Blessed are you, Jesus said, if you come to a place to know you need something that you don't have, and you need somebody like me to give it to you. You're a blessed person today if you know Jesus like that.
Amen. Yes.
It's a state that continues to be on you. Blessed are you. Not blessed will you be. Blessed are you if you know you're poor and you need some help. See, folks, the truth of the matter is, and you're going to get conflicting messages, and it's all really going to be about this message in the next several months leading up to this fall. See, our problem is never going to be solved by economic prosperity.
No, it's not. Amen.
It won't. It's a shallow message. It is. If our major issue was economics, we would just make more money. But we have done that for years, and it never does help very long for very many. Jesus is calling us to a deeper life, to say, blessed are you when you're poor. But woe to you who are rich, for you have received your consolation. What's that word consolation mean? I guess it means more than just a parallel statement. It's an idea. You're getting what you really want. That's what it really means. That's what the word means. Okay? Woe to you who are rich, because you're getting what you want. You got the money, you got the resources, you got the stuff, you're buying it all, you got what you want. Right? That's what Jesus is saying. And if you don't have what you want, guess what? Just work harder, make more, save this, and then go buy it, because you gotta get what you really want. There's nothing inherently wrong with being rich. It's not. All right? Nothing wrong with being rich. And there's nothing noble about being poor in and of themselves.
Amen.
There's a bunch of rich people that are sinners. There's a bunch of poor people that are sinners. There's some rich people that love Jesus, and there's some poor people that love Jesus. The economic condition of your life right now is probably going to change before long anyway. How many know the ups and downs of the dollar bill?
Amen.
It's not about economics. It's about the condition of your life. So Jesus is not talking about, hey, all of you rich people, woe to you because you have money. No, there's a dread, there's a cloud hanging over your soul if you're putting your trust in riches. There's a horror that's knocking at your door if you have the attitude of the man, hey, let's go build some bigger barns. If the happiest day of your month is when you get your bank statement and you get to see all that you have in the bank, or the worst day of the month is when you get your bank statement and you try to figure out what in the world you're going to do to make it to July. If your life is driven by the dollar, and that's easy, folks. It's easy in this culture. This message, this point would not go to many other cultures, but in this culture, that we are so conformed to the dollar bill. If it's driven by money, Jesus is saying dread and horror and woe is on you, because it'll never be enough. It'll never be enough. Riches have a way of stealing our satisfaction in Jesus and resting in our own resources. It's the truth. It's the truth. So don't do that.
No.
You can have $1 million in the bank and love Jesus with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and that's good. You can only have 2 nickels to rub together and love Jesus with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. And the beautiful part is whether you love Jesus with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength.
Amen. Yes.
Not what you have or what you don't have. It's really not about that. That's what Jesus is talking about. So I'm going to give you 4 attitudes and these Beatitudes for being happy in Jesus that I think come out of this. 1, the first attitude is dependence. Be humbly dependent on Christ all of your life. Say, Lord, I need you. Oh, I need you. Every hour I need you. And mean it. I mean it. And Lord, I'm dependent on you for the strength and the wisdom to give me a job and let me work so I can earn resources to provide for myself and my family, Lord. It's only because of you. It's not because of me. I'm dependent on you. Dependent on you. And live a life that way, so that you know the one, as Paul says, who became poor so that we might become rich in him. There's nothing you'll ever give up that Christ hasn't in coming and putting on flesh, and dwelling among us, and dying for us. Secondly, in these Beatitudes, verse 21, blessed are you who are hungry now, for you shall be satisfied. And that's paired with verse 25. Woe to you who are full now, for you shall be hungry. And so the interplay of the two words, satisfaction and fullness. Blessed are you who are hungry now, for you shall be satisfied. And then woe to you who are full now, for you shall be hungry. Matthew, you know, in his Beatitude says, blessed are you who hunger and thirst for righteousness. You shall be filled. Hunger and thirst. What does it mean to be hungry, Luke? Simply, it's a state of being famished, starving, wanting. Has anybody ever been hungry? How many people are hungry right now? Just be honest. Nobody? Uh-oh, there you go. We got an honest person. You know there's a difference between being hungry and hungry.
Yes. Yes.
Jesus is talking about being hungry. Blessed are you that are hungry now. That you have a hunger and a thirst. You have a quest. It is so in tune with the passions of our soul. Listen, I know what you know, and you know what I know. When you get hungry, you stop the planet to go find yourself something to eat, don't you? When you get thirsty, guess what? I got to go find me something to drink. But sometimes, this following Jesus life doesn't find its compelling interest in our souls as hunger and thirst does to our body. Now that can wait a little while. Jesus says, blessed are you who are hungry now. You're starving now. You're thirsty now. You want some righteousness now. And then, but woe to you who are full now. Who are full. Satisfied. Sit back, I've got everything I need. That's the attitude, right? I'm full. I just ate a big old meal. I'm going to sit down in my easy chair, kick my feet up, and get the remote. I'm going to just enjoy the afternoon or the evening. I am satisfied. Don't be satisfied with this. This is not all there is to life. There's more to be experienced in the joy of following Christ than the fleeting pleasures of this world. Woe to you that are just satisfied. Because you're going to be hungry one day. You're going to be hungry. And I hope it's not too late to find the table of Christ spread for you. The second attitude, I think Jesus is getting at in this, and being happy with Him, is the word desperation. Desperation. Hungry people are desperate people. If you've never been around some really, really hungry people, You need to, before you die, you need to go hang around some. You need to go get around some really hungry people and watch what people will do because they're hungry. Huh? We don't live a desperate enough life for the hunger and thirst for righteousness. Live a life of desperate pursuit in following Jesus because He has enough grace and He has a righteousness that is not of us but of Him. Who hunger and thirst for righteousness. Are you desperate for the righteousness of Christ? Or are we working for a righteousness of our own and resting and trusting in that? Just think how you come to Christ and say, Lord, I don't even know where to start. This day, this week, this month, this year, this life has just been one chaos and crash and burn and one miserable mess, and I've tried to fix it on my own, and all I ever do is put Band-Aids on broken hearts. And I'm desperate for you. We sing that. We sing these words, but do we mean it when it comes out of our mouth? I'm desperate for you. Desperate. It's not cool in America to be desperate. Because we're supposed to be satisfied. It's not cool in America to be dependent because we're independent people. Christ is not concerned at all with those things. He's concerned about our souls. And He knows unless we're dependent on Him and desperate for Him, we will not be happy in Him. We'll want something else. Even if it's Him and other things. And He said, I want to be your one and only satisfaction. Third contrasting beatitude is in verse 21, the last part. Blessed are you who weep now, for you shall laugh. And that's paired with the last part of verse 25. But woe to you who laugh now, for you shall mourn and weep. You know the but in verse 24 is implied in these other statements as a continuing parallel. The contrast. So, blessed are you who weep now, for you shall laugh, you will laugh. And woe to you who are laughing now, for you shall mourn and weep. Mourn and weep. Now, Jesus is not talking about just being sad. All right? There's a bunch of sad people in the world. You know some sad people? I get that way myself sometimes, just depressed, you know? You get that? I mean, you ever experience that? You know what that means, or is it all just theoretical for everybody?
Yes.
It's just having a bad day, week, month, year, life, and you're just sad. It's not about being sad. Blessed are you when you're sad. That's not what he's saying. Blessed are you when you weep, when you mourn. Why? Why do people weep and mourn? Well, what is he getting at? That you're going to be satisfied, and it's a good thing. You should be happy when you experience these things. What is it about? It's about our sinful condition. It's a soul sorrow. It's an attitude that says, Lord, I sure wish I was different. I sure wish I didn't have to struggle with the same stuff over and over and over and over again. Please deliver me from that. There's a brokenness. And there's a promise. If you'll be intimately concerned with who you really are, there's laughter waiting. There's laughter waiting for you. There's happiness waiting. How many people wish they could laugh more? Or they would laugh more? I don't laugh near enough. I know some people that are just laughing all the time. Where's my laughing lady at today? She here? I don't see her. You know who laughs all the time? Who? Mary McGill. She's just laughing all the time. I love to hear her laugh. Don't you love to hear Mary McGill laugh? She's got that, I don't even know how to do it, but you know what it sounds like, right? She's happy. But she knows who she is. That's not superficial. She'd be the first one to tell you, yes, I'm a sinner saved by God's amazing grace. I'm happy. I'm not near that happy. Maybe I'm not near that concerned with the condition of my sick soul. Sounds kind of ironic, doesn't it? Do you deal with the sickness of your soul? Jesus said it'll make you happy. Laughter. I do things that make me happy. I experience stuff that make me laugh. There are pleasures. These are temporal, earthly pleasures that are good grace gifts from God. And we should enjoy them while we have the time. We should. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Enjoy yourself with the things that God has provided as grace to us. Don't lean on them for lasting pleasure. Don't lean on them for internal joy. Because they'll leave us lacking. Woe to you, laugh now, or just live it up now, and are satisfied with empty things. So the third attitude is in being happy in Jesus is the word deliverance. You just come to Christ and say, Lord, deliver me from the fleeting pleasure of pursuing earthly things at the neglect of me running after you. We can enjoy the earthly pleasures, but never at the expense of running after Jesus. And sometimes we don't have enough time, energy, or focus to manage those things. And this world and the deceiver in this world will put good things and good people and noble stuff in our lives to keep us from the best and the center, which is Christ. He said, don't do that. And the last one, verse 22, blessed are you when people hate you, when people exclude you, when they revile you, when they spurn your name as evil on account of the Son of Man. That doesn't recruit too many people to the kingdom when you say that, does it? You come to me, guess what's going to happen? Jesus said. You follow me, let me just give you a clue on what's going to happen to you. Don't sweat it, but I just want to give you a clue. I want to tell you right up front. People are going to hate you. People are going to exclude you. They're not going to invite you to their party. You're a party pooper because you won't do those things and act that way and listen to that stuff and hang with them like you used to. Amen. They're going to revile you and spurn your name as evil on the account of the Son of Man. It's not really about us when we experience these things. People are attacking Jesus. That's it. And if they don't at times attack you and me, then how close are we following Jesus? Because here's the parallel. Woe to you when all people speak well of you, for so their fathers did to the false prophets. In Matthew's Gospel, right there at the end of those Beatitudes, he has, blessed are you when people persecute you, or when people slander you. You're blessed when these things happen to you. Why? Because it's evidence that you're following after Christ. But dread and horror and disaster waits for people who simply want people to speak well of them. You know, there's a disease. You know, we're good in 2016 at making up words for diseases so that we can diagnose people, so that we can prescribe a pill, so that we can purge our insurance companies, so that we can make up legislative laws to create universal health care plans and make a disaster out of everything on the planet. Here's a disease that they haven't diagnosed and I'm going to help everybody with. It's a very common disease. There's a really good cure, but it doesn't come in a pill. It's called AA. Have you ever heard of AA? Now, I'm not talking about Alcoholics Anonymous. That's already a prescribed issue, and maybe you have struggled with that. Maybe somebody that you love has a struggle with that. And God bless you, and mercy and grace to you. And there's grace and mercy for that if you struggle with alcohol, because it will control your life and it will rob you of everything you have before it's all said and done, unless Christ comes and grabs you.
Amen.
Right? Case in point. Now, I'm not talking about Alcoholics Anonymous. I'm not even talking about AA as an attitude adjustment, because we already know that all of us need an attitude adjustment. But here's the AA that some of us deal with on a regular basis. It's called approval addiction. Some of us live life in light of getting the approval of men, even at the expense of getting the approval of God. I would rather have people speak well of me, not hate me and revile me and slander me and persecute me and exclude me from their group or their stuff or their life. I would rather be included in this world with these people than to side with Christ and know this is coming for you. I want to be liked at any cost. Now, that's just not peer pressure for our young people, even though that's very specific. You got to get some backbone somewhere in there, you 6, 7, 8, 12, 16, 22, 30-year-olds. All right? That this wishy-washiness that comes and goes with the ebb and tide of peer pressure and being included in life and playing with your buddies and having friends and you know, everybody needs 700 Facebook friends. You know? Everybody. You're just not a complete person unless you have 1,000 friends on Facebook. Something's lacking in you. Something's wrong with you. No? Maybe not. Might be something really right about you. No, we shouldn't be hateful and ugly and exclusive and look down our noses, because, I mean, look at the crowd he's talking to. And I'm better than you. I don't want to be a part of you. I'm not going to be included in you. And it's everywhere, and it's still existent. It really is. I heard this past week as just a constant reminder how easy it is to bash the sinner. It's easy to bash the sinner. It's easy to just come down on people who do not act and believe and behave like we do, who struggle with inherent sinfulness. It's easy to look down on them as God's people, as religious people, and say, we're not going to play with you, we're not going to hang out with you, we're not going to participate in life with you. It's not much like Jesus. Not much like Jesus. He went to them. He served them. And folks, at what cost are we willing to go to when we read this and say, wow, Jesus was really serious about people following him. And like I said, this is scratching the surface. He's going to go deeper than just people talking ugly about you. He's going to say things later like, unless you hate your father, mother, your brother, and your sister, you're not fit for the kingdom. He's going to say, you must take up your cross, an instrument of torture and death, and die to yourself and follow me.
Amen.
He's serious about that because he knows the pressures and the pains of a religious-friendly culture. Here's the good news. Here's the good news. It's getting hot even here. The pressure to stand up for Jesus Christ in this culture is getting hotter, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing. The pressure's coming. Bring it. Bring it like it happens, Lord Jesus, in China every day. We want to be like believers in China, in Keystone Heights. We want to be like believers in Yemen and the Sudan. We want to be like that one believer amidst a culture of God-believing people that stands for you. It's good. It's coming. And just know what it is. They're going to hate you, exclude you. Don't fall trap into AA. I do, and then Christ, by His mercy, corrals my heart and said, hey, don't be a people pleaser. You please me. I'll take care of the rest.
Amen.
So the fourth attitude about being happy in Jesus is the word deception. Word deception. Live life with a clear focus on the truth in Scripture that says things like this about the life of the believer. Okay? Have a clear focus about what the Bible says about what it means to follow Jesus. Don't make it up on your own. You don't have that right, neither do I. But read the Scriptures with a clear focus. Lord, when you say that this is what is coming from the world, and I am happy about that, then I need your help to be happy about that. Because sometimes I think my happiness would be better if we all just sang Kumbaya and we got along. Key word in this passage, I think, if we read it, that Luke throws in kind of at the tail end of some of his statements as he records what Jesus says here, is the word now. You see it? Verse 21, blessed are you who are hungry now. Blessed are you who weep now. In verse 25, blessed or woe to you who are full now. Woe to you who laugh now. Now. You do know we live in a world of instant gratification, right? You know that we want things right now. And it's hard to wait on anything. Boy, howdy. Can you just get in a bad mood when you got to wait in line? You were happy in Jesus, just singing and dancing and getting your stuff. And then you got in a long line. And guess what happened? Because we are a right now culture. And Jesus is touching on that. Hey, there's some of you that are hungry right now. But hey, look here. You won't be hungry forever. There will be a day you'll be satisfied, full. Hey, some of you are laughing it up right now. But guess what? It's not going to last for very long. Hey, some of you are broken-hearted. You're busted up. You're despairing right now. But it won't last forever. You just come to me with this stuff. You just trust in me with your life. What's happening right now pale in comparison to two things. Two things, folks. One, what has happened for you in the past. See, something happened for you in days past that should affect the right now of our life. That the same Jesus who gives this great teaching, this wonderful discourse, the great teacher, preacher, healer, Jesus, one day in days past went and hung on an old rugged cross.
Amen.
So that those who are poor and hungry and rich and satisfied and weeping and laughing and reviled and people pleasing, for sinners all across the board, what happened in days past should affect our now as Jesus paid it all.
Amen.
So that we can find our satisfaction in Him. And then something is going to happen in the future. It's beautiful to know that there will be a day where there will not be any sin anymore.
Amen.
There will be a day that there will not be any sickness anymore. No disease, no pain, no sorrow anymore.
Amen.
You might live a life of mourning and weeping and sorrow now. If you'll come to Christ with that and say, Lord, I don't know how to get out of this mess that I'm in, but I'm going to trust you with all that I am and all that I have. I'm going to follow you, and I know what it's going to cost me, but it is infinitely better to follow you than to have the riches of this world, the pleasures that are fleeting and temporary. I want you. Because there's a promise in this. There's laughter and satisfaction and joy and completion and contentment coming. It might not be right now, but it's on the way. It's coming for us. We'll trust Him. And our attitudes could change. As Paul says, I do not look to the things that are seen, but to the things that are unseen. Because the things that are seen are temporary, won't last.
Amen.
The things that are unseen, the joy that I can't see, the laughter that I can't see, the completion and contentment that I can't see, the satisfaction that I can't see, the ability to just get along and get by in the world that I can't see right now, I look to that because I know that those things are eternal.
Amen.
And they are waiting for me. They're waiting for me. Are you blessed? Or are you woeful? Everybody in the room is in one of those places.
Amen.
I pray that you find your satisfaction, pleasure, and contentment in Christ. He is worthy and He is able.
Amen.
Let's pray.